Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a High Plat 2900, I think, Echo player here. And if you guys are enjoying the content, please do feel free to like and subscribe. That definitely helps me out. Or if you're looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description down below. And through there, you'll see what my rates are, other good stuff like that. Okay. Not sure why you started back there and then used flight to here. Reasonable minds. It's a little early to be using flight here. Like, you know you're going to need flight in just a second. So here we are. I don't like this flight. I like these mines. This poke is fine. Okay. Did this flight really help you? Or are you going to want flight, now or in a second to go up and poke over here and still get back out? Right? Like, this flight is potentially a little early to get value. The counter argument to that would be, hey, I want to do this flight now that's kind of junk because I'm going to need to do another flight when this team is actually pushing out here around over here, which is fine, but I think you'll have time either way if you do a better flight. If there was a call to commit here, I take it back. This was more okay. I don't like the call to commit here because the core of your team can't really engage on this. You guys want to do this commit when this team is here and ready to push out so that, your Winston comes in through the back or over the top, you come in over the top, etc. I don't like you guys trying to dive into them in this little corridor here. This is, again, early. But I get it, you landed some stickies, and that perhaps triggered the desire for you guys to dive. But you just have to be more aware of your team composition and where your team can actually follow. Like, you hitting good stickies is nice, but it's not enough of a reason to allow, like, your Torb can't move. Your Mercy can go with you. Your Rhine can dive into some fights, but he has to be able to get there, and, you basically 3 of these guys, not the Mercy. Bad drawing. These guys are mostly playing together would be my guess. We can look now. It's probably too late. Here, ready to take a fight in here. They can't really join you for a fight in here. And if they do, and the enemies retreat, you're just sort of rotating the map, yada, yada. So this is effectively a you committed too hard into this thing. And that's sort of a result of when you used flight, etc. You wanted to commit on them when they were in here, and you could get the nice sandwich on them. Okay, I think I've covered that in more than enough detail.
Moving up.
Thanks.
Okay, so you're going to lose point A pretty directly as a result of you and Winston diving early. That's not some like, oh, how terrible of you thing. That happens. It's just a, hey, if you had any feeling of I carried this game, how dare my teammates do this, etc. Well, you lost your team a point. So there's definitely room to improve, which is good. Land on the high ground. Yeah. I'm glad that you pressed X. You were perhaps a touch late on it. I'm a little surprised you aren't already changing the angle here. You have health back. Change the angle. Go up here. Poke from here, etc. Your Echo, you do not want to be poking main. Main is the default place to poke from. It's where enemies are looking. It's where enemies are trying to walk down some of the time. It's where the rest of your team is. They'll be shooting at you, or they'll be shooting at your team, and shots meant for your team may hit you. You want to be up breaking the angle. Now, you're not going to be over here when this team is here, unless you can get all the way out, and that's going to be a bit of a more time spent than you want at this particular moment, so you're just going to go up here. You can drift here, do your work, land here. You can drift here, land here. You can land here. Like, that's how you wanted to take this one once you got your healing.
Moving up.
Good. She's gone.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
I think you didn't need to do that quite yet, but you are down people. That's fine.
I'm going whole hog.
I don't really think that breather's worth it, but I guess it's getting you spawns back. I mean, the thing is, you used your breather to extend your duplicate, so you got 1 more second of duplicate use after the breather's over, and you hit bind cover. It's okay.
Personality duplication complete. Lifting off.
I want to see exactly how you use your flight there. Because you do generally have to be ready to use flight pretty much immediately when duplicate ends.
Personality duplication complete. Lifting off.
Okay, so you tried to flight the instant that you got finished hooked there. You wanted to go for your flight earlier here. Like, it was okay to break line of sight here, etc. But again, you're looking to go, hey, can I play this from different angles for my team? Can I be up here and maybe land over here? Can I go up here, etc.? Like, take advantage of the extreme echo angles that Echo can create. That is one of the most valuable pieces of her kit. Her very, very loaded kit.
System reboot complete.
Just a control issue, you'll get better.
Double finishing them off.
It's fine.
Burning them
Are you
down.
aware of the Hanzo though?
Kill confirmed.
Good. Good. It's fine. They're staggered enough in the respawn distance. It's fine.
Taking off. Quite the boost.
Okay, you've got flight again. How are you going to use it?
Flight routine activated.
You didn't need to cancel that so early. So I'm fine with using flight to change elevation to get up here to go, hey, this is a slightly different angle. It's really just a little above your team, but it's slightly different. But don't just then end your flight with half of it left. You can keep using that flight, even if it's just to drift back and forth behind this pillar, using this pillar as cover. And even if you do, you don't need to finish on the low ground here. You can finish a little bit escalated so that when you use your next flight, you're starting from a higher place. You can maintain altitude for longer, all this stuff. Or you can transition, do your poke from here. If it's too much pressure, that's fine. You drop your supports back here. If it's not, you've got a different, more aggressive angle, and your next flight more easily takes you up to playing from here. And if you win some space, maybe you go to here. Maybe you don't. Maybe you drift back over to here, etc. Like, don't cancel. It's rare that you want to cancel your flights early. It's very rare.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
Okay.
Roadhog.
So the issue with this is, let's take a look.
Flight routine.
Especially when you're Winston committed. Like, you're Winston committed to his leap here, and he used leap to get in and his bubble. He wasn't going to have a great way out. You staying quite this passive rather than being a little more aggressive with an angle is a bit sad, or, you know, a little more aggressive with an angle is a bit sad. But let's continue to see how you ult here. Your Ryan recognized he had to commit.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
Yeah, okay. You guys are committed enough to this fight. I'm okay with it.
Roadhog. I'm going home.
It unfortunately was a fight that was going to be pretty easy for the opponents to back out of, but you get enough cleanup kills. Excuse you?
I'm going home. Reversion personality. Burn down.
That's good. That's good. You got your timing on that. slowing this down to quarter speed to 80% Zarya, 99% Zarya.
Adjusting angle of attack.
It's 100% Zarya. That's 100% Zarya that you're using Focusing Beam on. No, not a thing. Focusing Beam isn't particularly good against targets that aren't at 50% health. And against tanks, you really don't want to use it early, especially against tanks that are being pocketed. You don't want to use it early. It's really hard for a healer to keep up or try to fight your boosted Focusing Beam, boosted by them being below 50% health, not to be mixed up with Mercy boosted or Discord boosted, though those are amazing too. But it's not that hard to keep up healing a Focusing Beam and just making your longest cooldown worthless. Focusing Beam is your longest cooldown if you use it when a tank is over 50% health. In this case, that Zarya is 100% when you pull the trigger.
Focus with me. It's Plat.
And you see this isn't working, so you should just pivot over to the Ana for these finishing shots. Take your last left click on the Ana, and now you've got a left click. Good. You don't need to be backing out of this so hard. Your team is in this. Your team is happy to fight in this space. You don't need to be backing out like this. You could have been playing, hey, I'm more over here. You could have been doing, I'm this. I'm going to slide onto this. Oh, there's a Doomfist here. He's half health. I'll poke him out real quick, or I'll just drop if I don't like him, etc., and then use my next one to go back up. Like, you want to be in a place where you have a little more access to potentially shooting at their Ana, to potentially, okay, you're not going to get a good shot at her, so maybe that's a dream, but you can go like this. You can do the shots from here. You don't want to be backing up when your team is trying to take the fight here. You might think your team is wrong to be taking the fight here. They're not wrong to be taking the fight here. You might think that, but even if they are, you need to be going into your team's play because enough of your team is making it that you need to support it, not be backing out.
Ability increased.
Okay. Again, why did you cancel this flight early?
Ability increased.
You hear the Doomfist. You fly, because why not? You've got 3 seconds left on flight. You've got 3/4 of your flight left. Why would you cancel this here? It's totally fine. Just keep using your flight. Flight control is awesome. Is there something here, like a sniper, that you're worried is just going to take you out? No, just Ana. Is Ana really that threatening? You have a Mercy on your team who's been paying some attention. You have cover that you can use against her. You can drift this way to close the angle on her completely. Like, just stay up here. Doomfist is way, way less threatening if you stay above him. No reason to drop here. There's not like a Widow or an Ashe on the other side that you're having to respect. And even if you were, you'd be looking for aerial cover more than you'd be doing this.
This is not the end.
See that? You wasted, 3/4, 2/3 of your flight there. And it's a waste because it's time you can be holding more extreme angles. And more extreme angles are really, really good in Overwatch. Other than in 100% Brawl v Brawl metas, angles might be the most important thing. Can live with it. Let's watch it again.
Lifting off.
You take your flight. Notice how Doomfist doesn't have a good way to engage on you. He goes elsewhere. Do I just see what I think I just saw?
Setting out the welcome mat.
Okay. There, you just canceled your flight again. Like, you fly when you're like, oh, there's a Doomfist I've got to be worried about, and that's good. But then as soon as he comes in, as soon as he does his first move, you cancel your flight, just like you did back here. You don't have to. Flight is really good. Don't give up on it so easy. Even if you just go, I'm just going to maintain my height with flight, that's fine. You can just move ever so slightly with flight, etc. Use your flight. Like, I know it's awkward to control Echo. She's a bit hard of a hero to really get comfortable, to really get good control of, etc. But you don't want to be canceling your flights early very often. This flight is good. You have aerial cover against any threats from this. You can shoot at the Doomfist from above. You have good sight line on the Mercy. And watch what happens when you drop your flight early. You had 2 seconds of flight left here. This Doomfist is harder to shoot at. Now you're having to shoot up at this Doomfist. And now this Doomfist is above you. Doomfists that are above you are very hard to deal with. Doomfists that are below you are pretty easy to deal with. But even not as a Doomfist specific thing. Like, hey, now there's a Reaper. Reaper can't really do anything when you're above him. He's more dangerous when you're on the ground. Also, being at high ground gives you, more access to, hey, I can see people from above. I've got good cover. They have to really tilt their neck. And if they're tilting their neck to look at me, they're not looking at my Torb over here. All that good stuff.
Meteor strike.
Regeneration complete.
Okay, you've got Duplicate. You can fight your way back into this. Duplicate, yep. Good. That was a fine play. Okay. And now finish right up here. Good, good. No. You ran out of flight right when you were here. You can stay here. This is better. You can still do lots of good poke work from up here. Now you're having to trust just float your spacebar thing to slow your fall, but you can't really stop yourself from falling. You won't get your shift back in time. You're going to fall right into the middle of 3 people. And if they saw that your flight just ended, you are toast. Okay, well, the NLM is nice. And now go up. Yeah, like that. It's fine, you can poke them out. You have your Mercy Pocket. You don't need to be too respectful of them. Like, obviously, you can't just stand there and get shot, but you don't have to drop all the way. You can just close the angle a little. That's fine. That's a good thing to run from. And now you should be looking for again, it was fine to back off like that, but now that they're coming in, you're thinking about, how do I go up to the side? How do I go up to the side? What can I use up to the side? Do I use this? Do I use this? Do I use this? Like, as they're starting to come in, you're going, hey, I don't just want to shoot them from 100 miles away on the main path, because this is the path they're looking down. This is the path they're defending against. This is where the rest of my team is. You want to be somewhere different.
Adjusting angle of attack.
And if you've been up like over here, up like over here, up over here, that potentially gives your Mercy an easier out. I'm not saying she couldn't have 180'd and outed you here from that Reaper, but you are giving her potentially better outs by taking that better positioning, as well as all the other benefits we've already gone over.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
But why though? Like, this duplicate is early. If you look at this duplicate,
Adjusting angle of attack.
this is 2900, I think. Plat.
60 seconds.
So this is fine.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
And I don't necessarily mind a Reinhardt duplicate. I just don't like that you're on the same angle as your team. I don't like that you had full health. I don't like duplicate can act as a second and even a third life. I'd prefer you were committing harder to something. Like you were pushing in, trying to get in the limb on Anne or trying to hard pressure out Anna, and then you just turn and get the Reinhardt. Or you just grab the Zarya, etc. Or you do it from over here so that your team is threatening from multiple directions. In this case, it's sort of okay because your Rein just went down, so now you're the shield for your team. But you didn't want to do this while your Rein was down. You wanted to do this while you were both were here, so they were like, oh shoot, there's shadows from both directions. Like, that's what you really wanted to be doing. Yeah. So your ult value hasn't been great. Your early flight cancels, especially against Doomfist, however, are a bigger deal, as is your attachment to retreating sort of down main and just shooting here from a million miles away from the same sight line as your team. But that's okay. More things to work on means more room for you to quickly get better.
Staying out of trouble, Genji? 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective.
Poke her out, that's fine. She can't hold that against you. I actually think you popped that early. It's not the end of the world, but you have no ability to have possibly landed on that. Well, okay, you could have gone straight for it. It's going to be very hard for you to land on this, and you also weren't going to want to land on this because your team is just here and your team isn't a credible distraction yet. So just like when you did it here and you used your flight really before they were here or even here, you used it when they were back here. This is a little early, and it's going to mean you don't have your flight a couple seconds from now when you'd actually want it. Of course, if your team just, huddles at the choke, I suppose you will.
I like this. Moving up.
Okay. Which direction is your team pushing? Team's pushing here. Okay. Yeah, you don't need to be breaking the expected path. This is you playing main again. I don't really like it. It was okay for you to be here a couple seconds early while your team was still here, and then as your team is ready to break here, they go here, whereas you break up over here. Or as they go here, you let them go here, let them sort of be a body shield for you as you go up around here, etc. But you breaking the plane first is Echo. It's like walking in front of your team as McCree when there's a Reinhardt right behind you. Just be 3 steps behind and let the Reinhardt go first. Same thing here, except it's Echo and Hog. This is pretty extreme. I don't mind this at all. It just means your Mercy is going to leave you hanging. Whereas if you're playing more like a here, your Mercy's a little more willing to go, yeah, I'll give you some pocket stuff, etc., and you'll land back here and you'll get help and all that stuff. So this is fine, but it does mean you are playing on your own. Just because ladder mercies are not likely to give you the extreme level of pocket that you might get in organized play. Still don't really want you on the same sight line as your team here. They get to put up 1 Rhine shield and block out most of your team's damage, including yours. More elevation is good. Elevation plus an angle, plus an angle, plus an angle is better. Again, this is not your angle for breaking this. This is so much better. You can pressure the Ashe, who, by the way, Ashe is looking this way. This is how you get the jump on hit scan. Ashe is looking this way. She's looking like this. So when you peek from over here, it's like, oh, you get to land a couple stickies on her before she turns and fights you. Okay, that's a situation where you land a couple stickies on her, and then you do 1 left click and focusing beam in, and she goes down. That's pretty easy. It's pretty easy when you get the jump on them because they're looking somewhere else. It's much harder when you're fighting from the same direction as your team. Yes, you have your Winston bubble sometimes sort of in the way helping you here, etc., but you're not even fighting the Ashe, who's your biggest threat. You're trying to contribute to the brawl, which is okay with your stickies, but wouldn't it be great to take out their Ashe and then just destroy this team from the back here? Wouldn't that be amazing? Okay. 20-minute game. Okay. So that should involve both sides finishing.
Mobility increase. Focus my target.
It's a reasonable effort.
Hey there. Hi.
You're just gonna wave at them? Okay.
Lifting off.
Little unfortunate.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Rising uppercut.
I didn't really like the target selection there.
Focus my target.
If we look at this,
Hey there. Hi. Lifting off.
I don't mind the mechanical mistake.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
I just feel like you've got more to work with in terms of hitting your abilities over on these than you do on this. If you're confident in your Doomfist, it's fine to go for that Ashe. I just feel like you could have more consistently done work over here.
Rising uppercut.
Yeah, you were pretty far away to hit a rollout on an enemy that was paying attention. You have to go Mega. Yep.
Restoring health systems.
Okay, you didn't get... Okay, so that's fine. You just wait. Don't give yourself away early.
Thank you.
Engagement timing is everything.
Thanks.
Flight routine activated.
Meteor strike.
This is... Is your team committed to this? I don't think your team's really committed to this yet. Your Genji's leaving, your Winston's been in and dropped a bubble. Yeah, you're just gonna have to get a better feel for your team's engagement timing when you're going on flanks like this. Because as you see, they immediately extract you, and that's because your team is sort of already on the way out there, but that's fine.
Back online.
Those shots aren't aimed. Some of those shots just weren't aimed. Again, I don't mind your mechanics missing. I don't mind, hey, your aim's not there. That's totally fine. I do mind your phoning it in. Those like you weren't even mentally engaging to try to hit specific things there.
Lifting off. 60 seconds.
I mean, you knew the lamp was there. You knew you were going to have to deal with that. And you're not going to want to waste Focusing Beam on the lamp. Okay, just the wrong decision to use Focusing Beam. There you go. Worked out, though.
Hello. Restoring health systems.
And, you know, if there was a normal lamp there, that'd potentially be fine, but it looked like you had a full health BAP shield in front of the lamp and your team behind you. But, hey, your Genji hit the lamp with Blade. It all worked out.
Finishing them off. Next target. I'm taking care.
Good.
Overclocked and on fire. Hey there.
Someone called the ambulance.
Thanks. Thank you.
Someone called the ambulance.
Objective A.
I'm with you.
New defense. Objective
You should know his shift timing better. That last shot, you didn't have to feed him extra health, but not a big deal. Okay, so main is not our approach as Echo. It's not. Like, your Winston is perhaps going in a touch early. Not super early, perhaps a touch early, but this is not your push as Echo. Now it's less bad because your team is going here, so that makes that an off angle, and that's more okay. But this is naturally still where people look. So your preference would be, hey, if I'm going in here, am I at least breaking this up by going in up here? Because their natural sight line is here. This is where they're naturally expecting people. This turns, and this is good, but can you give me a little more and go up here? And there's our Roadhog. So our Winston was early like I thought. Okay, good.
Focus with me. Adaptive circuits engaged.
That beam was early.
Roadhog.
Good. Nice.
I'm going whole hog.
Good.
Beginning objective capture. Systems are on fire.
Good.
I'm taking the objective.
Have my thanks.
Probably stay in the. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Changing position.
What's the old bank look like? I mean, you've got Rally and Blade. You can win this next push pretty easy. All they're gonna have is Whole Hog.
Moving up.
Now they're gonna have Valk too.
System health compromised.
Battling for space. At least you're using high ground. Okay, that's an all-in. You don't have any abilities to support it. Yeah, you guys hadn't properly earned space yet, but that's on Genji, not on you. Again, since your whole team was sort of battling here, I'd have preferred you taking an angle and played over here. More aggressive angles, more powerful, you do more. This is not terribly dangerous to you. Or over here, whichever you want to do. If your main team is going here and you're fighting up here, this is a pretty minor angle break for it. This is better if your main team is here. But that's fine. Let's call the reset. You're not going to finish them if you keep going into 5v6 like this. Okay, Genji's on the creep, but you lost Hog. Now you've lost you, so we're just going to stagger for a bit. Okay, that's unfortunate.
System reboot complete.
Again, this is where they're naturally looking. You can peek here. You can come up over here and peek. Like, this is where they're naturally looking. You don't want to be doing your poke from here.
You have my thanks.
Boosting up.
Thank you.
60 seconds remaining. I need a health restore.
My servants never die.
Good. And you guys can play up that. Off your next flight, you're going to go in hard, and then you're going to get a duplicate on Winston, and you're going to rock it. Good.
Adaptive circuit engaged.
Fine.
Target destroyed.
Good.
Reversing personality mode. Round 2.
Okay. So we're not seeing anything too wild here. It's still going to be a big deal. Don't run it up main so much. Like, you just run it up main as Echo, and that's not your thing. You want those angles. They're really, really powerful.
Ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers going
I'm okay with that. You'll have it back in time. So this is a soft dive from your Winston. It's not really real, so make sure that you've already canceled your flight. Oof. Make sure you get out with the rest of your flight that you don't have because you canceled it, rather than staying in here. This was just a soft dive from your Winston. He's literally just doing a little bit of a pressure dive that he's confident he'll get out from to enable the rest of your team to rotate through this thing, because if he didn't have a Reinhardt, this is a bit of an annoying rotation. He has a Reinhardt, so he's just doing this out of habit, but like, this is not real. You don't want to all in off of this. You don't want to get caught without a way out, which I'm afraid you're doing. Yeah.
The battle continues. Thanks for the second chance. State system health compromised.
So again, on our list of things, again, you're playing fine. Hey David, hope you're doing well. You're playing fine, but we can do better. And if you're feeling like, oh, I couldn't win this match, my team held me back or anything, you dropped first point on defense by, doing that dive with your Winston way too early, and you just stopped your first push on your first point attack for the final round here by all-inning, committing on something that was not a real push, that you failed to recognize was just a soft dive, a pressure jump from your Winston.
30 seconds remaining.
Which again is not it's all your fault thing. It's just a, hey, there's definitely room, and this isn't a, oh, my team is holding me back. And maybe you never thought that way. I just like to put a little of that in there because it actually helps people get less frustrated when they see, yes, there's things I can do to change the outcome of the match. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, thanks. Okay, that's fine.
Initiating match. Ready.
Personality synchronization 100%. Good to be back.
Ready for battle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Going free.
Defend objective A.
Okay.
Mission underway. Prioritizing combat functions.
Okay, now you know they have an Ash based on that hit marker and sounds. Good job. Poke out the ball. Doesn't matter that you didn't get him. Now you're just going to literally just use your flight to go right up through behind them. Like, you know that this is the common rotation, so you just do a quick check through here. Looks like they didn't go that way, but that's potentially what you want to do. Would still give you an off angle. He's done. Make sure you finish on the high ground.
My target.
Okay, your team has enough control. I'll live with it. You're down a player, and I see that, and that's annoying.
Dein Schutzengel ist da. Enemy is reviving. Lifting off.
Good.
30 seconds.
You don't need to worry about dropping down to contest point like this. You can continue to do this a little more if you want, or to pressure out the Ana from here. Your Lucio understands that it is his job, and it was very clear that your Lucio understood it is his job. You want to be in positions that'll let you do work. If you have to dive deep to get an Ana, if you have to take an aggressive angle to get an Ana, if you have to do something like this to get that out, or to take out a Doomfist, that's fine. Your Lucio knows that he is next on the list for holding point, not you. Yeah, and you were more vulnerable to that Doomfist coming in because you dropped onto point like that. And no res, so no duplicate, so this has got to be it, right?
Experience.
Yeah.
Oh, turn it up.
And now you're just gonna AFK type things?
Hi.
30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even trying to get back to point? Okay. So, not terrible or anything overall here, but you definitely have some areas for improvement. The biggest thing really is going to be this running it up mid thing, this, oh, I'm going to defend from mid type thing, etc. Don't do that. Take your angles. Your angles are great on Echo. That's how the hero is designed, with super easy access to angles because of that short flight cooldown and the better flight control than Farah has, etc. Like that is what she does. There's some ult stuff we could talk about. You use your ult sometimes a little too early when you're not fully committed into the fight yet. But I actually think bigger for you beyond the making sure you're more often taking your angles with your flight is making sure you're not early canceling flight. You early canceled flight here in a flight that you still had stuff to get out of, and you had at least 2 or 3 more early cancel flights that we talked about, like one back here, for example, where the Doomfist came in, you used flight immediately, but then you like canceled it with still more than 2 seconds left. When no, stay above, continue to do that. If you understand the value of your angles, I think you'll naturally go, oh yes, of course I want to keep my flight going. I have this pillar between me and the enemy team sightlines. I can do good work from here, etc. Same thing right out here. Again, it was based on a Doomfist. So those two things: understand your angles better and make sure that you aren't early canceling flight. There's, of course, lots more for you to work on, but those are the two that you really want to put your focus on when you're going into your next 5, 10, 15 games of, I'm working on this. Am I doing well at improving at this? That's what you do if you actually want to be making improvement in Overwatch. Okay. Shame they didn't take that high ground. Might have held longer with that ult. Yeah, if they'd kept on the high ground there, they could have potentially then come out with a better ult there. They could have potentially taken a Doomfist transformation, gotten a pick or two, etc. That could have worked out well, but not a big deal. And I think that's going to do it. So if you guys are enjoying the content, please do feel free to like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Or if you are looking to get your own stuff reviewed, to get coaching, I can either do coaching like this in a VOD review format, or I can still do a VOD review format, but I can have you on and we can go over the game together, where you can ask questions on the fly, etc. So that works out well. And I do actually have a Recruit a Friend promo going on in the Discord. So if you're looking for that coaching, join in the Discord below. You can see what that promo is about, see what my rates normally look like, all that good stuff. Do I see any more questions from chat at the moment? I don't see anything else from chat. I'm probably going to do one more review this morning. I got a little bit of a later start, but I'll probably do one more this morning, and then I'll get to a few later this evening. Do I have a streaming schedule? No, I don't have a strict streaming schedule. I am doing this in a, hey, I start streaming when I have a game that I want to go over, but part of why this is working for me is my little side hustle thing is because it's pretty flexible, etc. But generally, I try to put 1 or 2 games up in the morning and 1 or 2 games up in the evening, and I am West Coast. This is a little late for a start for me. This is generally probably about when I'd be ending my second game, or even a little after I'd be ending my second game review. So usually you'd see me a little later, and then you'd see me again in the evening, or a little earlier, and then you'd see me again in the evening. But the games are there. I review them. They're, on YouTube, on the channel. You can see them. They do stay there. I'm not deleting them or anything like that. And you can join the Discord if you want to try and catch me or chat with other people, etc. Anyway, that's what I've got. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.